let's get back to what happened in that deposition room, because there is a little leak here. This is starting to get really, really funny, because now the latest few things that Blake Lively's attorneys have done has given more evidence to Justin Baldoni.
She would be notified in advance who would be present. So why is this a surprise? Literally, your own article mentions that it's not a surprise, but of course, People Magazine got a simp for Blake Lively. But good for him for showing up. They're again lying to the judge. They also said that he says she's a narcissist who cannot accept how she's behaved. I mean, let's be honest, both of these quotes are true.
And showing receipts that everything that she was claiming was a lie. That was the real smear campaign.
Blake Lively is throwing tantrums after the judge caught her lying in her deposition. That's peak level confidence. Blake's new title, the Queen of Lies. She thought she could manipulate the court with made-up stories, but this time Justin Baldoni had the evidence to back up his claims.
Blake Lively has officially had her deposition, and she had to do it in front of Justin Baldoni.
This was the big moment everyone had been waiting for. And let's just say it came a lot sooner than expected. For months, rumors were swirling that Lively would find every excuse under the sun to delay this moment. Because let's be honest, who wants to face the consequences of their actions when they are caught in a legal mess? But here she is looking like a deer in the headlights across from Baldoni under oath with all her skeletons ready to fall out of her closet.
This is the chance for Justin's side to question her under oath, to really get the facts from her. And she's got to sit there and answer everything. She can't just ignore it or say no. She's got to answer questions, and she's got to tell the story. And will that story match up to her testimony later in court?
And what a shock it was when she actually showed up. We all thought she'd keep dodging the bullet. But nope, she was there. Talk about a plot twist. Huh? This wasn't just another Hollywood drama. No, this was a real legal showdown, and it was going down in front of the entire world. The stakes were high, not just for the case, but for her public image, too. Because let's be real, if she messes this up, it's not just the lawyer she has to worry about. It's her reputation and possibly her career on the line. And let's not forget this was a moment that could determine if this case ever goes to court. Because if she didn't handle herself well here, Baldwin's team could have everything they needed to crush her.
Deposition day. There's an article in the Daily Mail explaining that Blake Lively brought not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, but 8 lawyers with her to the deposition on Thursday.
So, let's break down what exactly went down. A deposition is pretty simple when you think about it. It's basically a chance for one side's attorney to grill the other person under oath. And I mean really grill them. And there's no hiding behind fancy legal tactics in this one. Unlike in court where the judge decides what's okay and not okay, a deposition is a direct confrontation. No one's there to hold anyone's hand. It's just you, your words, and the consequences of what comes out of your mouth.
Blake Lively has finally sat down for her deposition. And I'll be honest, it surprised me because I didn't think she was gonna. Thought she'd continue to find more excuses. The fact that she's now sat for a deposition makes me think a settlement is now even further away from a possibility.
Now, here's where it gets tricky for Lively. The deposition is all about digging for the truth. And once that truth comes out, there's no taking it back. If she lies or refuses to answer questions truthfully, well, guess what? That just makes her case even weaker. It's a dangerous game, especially when you're sitting across from someone who's been after you for a while. Like Baldoni, it's almost like a real-life game of who's bluffing. But this time, the stakes aren't just a game. It's her career, her image, and maybe even her freedom.
Yes, the fact that Justin stepped up and showed up, which he's absolutely obligated to do and should do, because they're asking questions of her, and the only other person there who can really dispute or challenge is him.
This isn't just another juicy tabloid story. Oh, no. This is the real deal. The battle between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni has been dragging on for what feels like forever, and it's finally come to this. The moment where the truth is supposed to come out. It all started with a bunch of shady rumors and accusations flying around with both sides pointing fingers at each other. Smear campaigns, media manipulation. It's like a soap opera, but with a whole lot more legal jargon and a lot less fun. The saga started years ago, and it's been one public scandal after another ever since. This deposition was supposed to be the breaking point, the moment where someone finally got to tell their side of the story.
But good for him for showing up. It's much harder to lie to somebody to their face. It is. And so he had to sit there calmly, collected, and just take it. Again, he's been taking it for a long time.
But it wasn't just about telling her side. No. This was supposed to be Blake's big chance to defend herself, to clear her name. But what do we know? She's being caught in a mess of contradictions. Instead of setting the record straight, she had to face Baldoni, the guy who's been the thorn in her side for so long. The real question here isn't whether or not she's guilty. It's whether or not she could hold it together under pressure. She didn't.
Answer as little as possible, but answer. And so I'm sure she prepped, but no prep can handle the Friedman finger point and to try to like really unnerve her, which I'm sure there were moments that he tried to. Now, whether she took the bait, I don't know.
First off, did you catch the part about Blake's grand entrance? The woman showed up to her deposition with not one, not two, but 8 lawyers. Yes, 8. Like, is she going to court or preparing for a small army to invade? Not to mention her sister, best friend Robin, and husband Ryan Reynolds tagging along for the ride. But here's the kicker. They didn't even go in the room with her. So, basically, she rolls up with a small entourage, but when it's showtime, it's just her, the lawyers, Justin Baldoni, and Jamie Heath. Blake had to stare down her nemesis the entire time, and honestly I can't imagine how nervous she must have been. A little bit of panic setting in Blake.
She got special treatment, surprise, from Judge Lyman, so she could choose where she wanted to do this. Of course, because she's so famous, so she can do whatever she wants. So she chose to have the deposition at her attorney's offices, so everyone had to come there.
And it gets better. Let's talk about the outfit. Yeah, this is how you know Blake was feeling confident, right? She decided to rock some black jeans, a black waistcoat, and a pale blue fluffy cardigan. No florals. People. Can you even believe it? It was almost like she was trying to set some kind of mood. But honestly, it sounds like she was just hoping no one would notice her sweating bullets in that cardigan. And guess where it all went down? At her attorney's offices. Because, of course, she's famous and can just make the rules. She had a deposition in her own territory with all the special treatment she could ask for. How nice, right? She gets to choose a setting. And of course, she chose a fancy attorney's office because who wouldn't want to be cozy during a deposition right now? The leaks from the room. Yes, leaks are coming in hot and things are looking really bad for Blake. You thought the drama was over? Nope. Now, Lively's legal team is asking the judge to treat Brian Friedman, one of Bolden's lawyers, as more of a PR agent than an attorney. They are basically saying that since he's given interviews in the past, the usual attorney-client privilege doesn't apply to him. So, they want to dig into his correspondence with content creators and journalists.
Lively's team is subpoenaing Brian Friedman, Justin Baldoni's attorney, and asking to see all his correspondence and emails and phone calls in and out of the office. It's bananas, you guys.
Oh, and by the way, this whole fishing expedition was supposed to get them some juicy information, but surprise, it didn't. They came up empty-handed and are now doubling down with even more subpoenas. Classic desperation move. But hey, maybe if they keep digging, they'll finally find something to throw at Baldoni. I wouldn't hold my breath, though.
To start fishing in Brian Friedman's office to see his correspondence between with him and content creators or journalists.
And speaking of subpoenas, you know how Blake's legal team got a hold of a list of content creators and journalists? Well, there's a bit of a twist there. They initially made it sound like they had a massive list of people involved in this alleged smear campaign, but in reality it was just a handful of big names: Andy Cena, Perez Hilton, and Candace Owens. But now they're trying to cast a wider net, hoping to dig into more people's business and make something stick. They are not exactly scoring any public points with this approach. In fact, it's making them look like they are grasping at straws. If this is a strategic move, then Lively's in deeper trouble than we thought.
My Google or my YouTube channel was recently subpoenaed by Blake Lively's legal team, and they were after all my private information, my bank account details, my credit card, my home address, my phone number, my IP addresses, everything.
Oh, and then there's a subpoena drama surrounding Rob Sullivan. The editor of it ends with us. Apparently, Lively's team had trouble getting a hold of him, and when they did, it didn't go well. So, what do? They throw a tantrum and send a bunch of text messages to prove their point. Guess what those messages show? They show that Blake Lively is a control freak. Yeah, they voluntarily submitted these messages, and in doing so gave Baldwin's team all the ammo they needed. The texts reveal how Blake wanted final approval over certain scenes in the movie. Scenes that, mind you, weren't even hers. She was trying to control everything, including scenes with the younger versions of her character. If that doesn't scream power trip, I don't know what does.
Blake Lively's team really wanted to subpoena the editor of It Ends With Us. His name is Rob Sullivan. And Rob has been really hard to get hold of. Then they're saying to the judge, we tried to get hold of him and we saw they had the TV on and the lights on, but he didn't open the door for us.
The best part, these text messages were supposed to make Lively's case stronger, but all they did was expose her power grab. And when Baldwin's team got their hands on them, they were like, "Thanks for the evidence." It's almost as if Lively's team is working against her. They handed over these texts showing just how controlling Blake was on set, and now the world knows it. Imagine trying to play the victim when this is a kind of behavior that's coming to light.
Blake Lively's team voluntarily dropped these text messages and gave them to the judge. At this point now, I'm thinking, are they really on her side? Do they want her to lose this?
And then we've got another bombshell. Lively's team tried to subpoena Google and X, formerly Twitter, looking for account information from 5 content creators who had criticized her. But after a lot of legal back and forth, Blake's team ended up withdrawing the subpoena. Oops. So, not only did she fail to get any real evidence from that move, but she also lost a bit of public favor along the way. I mean, if you're subpoenaing Google and Twitter accounts of critics, you might want to ask yourself, is this really the hill I want to die on? And let's not forget the insurance drama. Justin Baldoni is suing his insurance company for refusing to cover legal costs. It's a classic move, right? Insurance companies trying to wriggle out of paying when things get too expensive. But here's the twist. Baldoni is being backed by billionaire Steve Sowitz, who's more than happy to throw down whatever is necessary to win. If there's one thing we know about this case, it's that Baldoni has the financial backing and the legal firepower to go all the way.
It has been said, though, that Steve Sarowitz once swore that he would spend $100 million to ruin Blake Lively. So it's great to know that Justin Baldoni is backed by a billionaire. And of course, for him too, he's dragged into this as well.
Now, the real question is, how long can Blake keep playing this game? With every legal maneuver, her credibility is taking a hit. The more her team digs, the more they seem to make things worse. From subpoenaing random editors to revealing her own controlling nature, Blake's case isn't looking any better. Every time she tries to make a move, it just backfires. At this point, it's safe to say she's caught in a legal mess she's probably not going to get out of easily. Now, Let's talk about Justin Baldoni for a second. Sitting across from Lively was no accident. This wasn't just some random coincidence. Justin knew exactly what he was doing. He wasn't just there to ask questions. He was there to win. And how do you win a game like this? By making sure your opponent makes mistakes.
What Blake Lively is saying is that the real smear campaign is the one that Justin Baldoni started when he defended himself against her claims. So by defending him and showing receipts that everything that she was claiming was a lie.
This was psychological warfare at its finest. Baldoni didn't need to do anything except sit there and look at Lively while his team did the rest. He let his attorneys handle the heavy lifting, but you can bet your bottom dollar he was in there every second, making sure they didn't miss a single opportunity to catch Lively in a lie or force her to dig herself deeper. That's some next-level strategy right there. And that's exactly what happened. Lively came into this deposition thinking she could just brush it off, make some excuses, and walk away unscathed. But instead, she found herself in a hot seat that was too hot to handle. Every time she opened her mouth, the heat just kept cranking up. How do we know that? Well, because she couldn't even keep her story straight. There were moments where she said one thing, and then moments later, she contradicted herself. She claimed that Baldoni and his team were behind a smear campaign. But the more she talked, the less it sounded like the truth.
This shouldn't leak. Like, this should come out as evidence later, because if it does, it is going to make Justin's team look bad. Like, they're out there trying to make this and get stuff out there. Now, Blake's team is also clearly leaking things. I don't know who else would have spread the word that Blake's facing down her nemesis, Justin Baldoni. You go to the People magazine and their headline is Justin attends and surprise.
What's worse, her legal team wasn't much help either. They've been throwing subpoenas left and right, demanding information from anyone they can get their hands on. They went after 107 content creators. Yes, you heard that right. 107 people who were allegedly involved in spreading lies about her. That's a lot of subpoenas. And honestly, it just makes her look desperate. She's grasping at straws, hoping that if she digs deep enough, she can find something to save her. But at this point, it's hard to see how anything could help her.
It's very strange. We also learned that she's now gone after 107 creators.
The worst part is that Lively has been caught in a web of contradictions. She tried to paint herself as a victim, but every new piece of evidence just makes her look worse. Her legal tactics have made her seem even more guilty. If anything, she's just making Baldwin's case even stronger. And here's the kicker. When she finally had the chance to explain herself in front of Baldoni, she couldn't even do that without digging herself deeper into the mess. It's almost like watching a train wreck in slow motion. You can see it coming, but there's no stopping it. At this point, all we can do is sit back and watch as Blake Lively unravels in front of us. She had the chance to turn things around, but instead she found herself trapped in a web of lies, bad decisions, and a whole lot of desperation.
They have added Jed Wallace back into the lawsuit. Is her legal team just trying to get every dollar they can out of her? Just when you think the court of opinion couldn't be any less favorable towards her.
Now, let's talk about the big issue here. The allegation that Blake has been throwing around about Baldoni and his legal team orchestrating a smear campaign against her. I mean, come on, Blake. Are we really doing this? So, according to Lively, Baldoni and his team weren't just quietly fighting back. No. They were allegedly running an operation to destroy her reputation, using influencers. And who's behind the supposed smear campaign, you ask? Oh, just some little names like Paris Hilton, Candace Owens, Andy Senor. Yeah, you know them. The same guys who thrive on controversy. According to legal documents, Hilton was allegedly one of the many players in this mess, posting over 500 times about the ongoing drama between Blake and Baldoni. 500 times. That's not just a few passive-aggressive tweets. That's a full-time gig trying to stir the pot. Lively's camp is desperate, pulling in anyone they can get their hands on to try to make their case look legit. But in reality, it's just a bad look. This wasn't the sophisticated legal maneuver we all expected. It was just desperation and bad tactics. And guess what? The public didn't buy it.
So this idea that Wayfarer Friedman would employ Perez Hilton, of all people, to create an agreement with and risk losing their own license to practice law, as well as this whole case,
They even went after Liner Friedman's office, accusing them of being part of the smear campaign. That's a bold move. But guess what? That plan hit a wall hard. Liner Friedman's team didn't play nice. They denied any involvement, and their legal team pushed back hard. Blake's move to subpoena the firm ended up looking like a total flop. It was like she thought she could just bully her way into getting what she wanted. But the legal system doesn't work like that, honey.
And so Lively wanted to subpoena the Liner Friedman office, which is Friedman's office. She suspects that Friedman is part of Baldoni's supposed ongoing smear campaign against her, and that Friedman is using his deep Rolodex of influencer clients to circulate the campaign online.
And let's not skip over Lively's legal strategy here. It's raising all kinds of eyebrows. Some people are wondering if this is all just a huge overreach. I mean, going after PR firms and media outlets, that's a major risk. You've got to wonder, is this really just a strategic move, or is Lively's team in over their heads? Because so far, the whole thing reeks of desperation. Every subpoena, every legal move, they all scream, we're grasping at straws. It's not a good look, and it's only making her look worse by the minute.
We certainly did not pay content creators, Liner Friedman attorney Garofalo said in Wednesday's hearing. The attorney argued that Lively subpoenas, which seek information about agreements between content creators and Friedman, are overly burdensome to the firm, risk breaching privilege, and should be.
So here's where it gets interesting. Bolden's legal team is doing what any good legal team would do. They are pushing back hard. They are not sitting back and letting Lively's team run roughshod over them. They are questioning every subpoena, every move Lively's camp makes. And you know what? They are doing it well. They are putting up roadblocks at every turn, trying to block those subpoenas, arguing that they are unnecessary, and calling out the overreach. And you know what? Their strategy is working. They are playing the game like pros. And Lively's team is just stumbling over their own mistakes.
And so it's a game of they're all playing to be careful because Friedman's team shouldn't have to give all this client information and people. Just because he gave statements to press doesn't mean that's a smear campaign.
Clip 24. In fact, this courtroom drama is turning into something far more than just legal arguments. It's become a battle for public opinion. It's like a live-action courtroom reality show. And guess what? The public is watching. And from the looks of it, they are not exactly impressed with Blake Lively's tactics. I mean, supponing a 100-plus influencers, then getting slapped down by legal pros like Bolden's team. That's just bad PR. The more this drags on, the more Blake's image is taking a hit. She's playing a game, but she's not winning, and the public is starting to notice. This is a legal showdown, sure, but it's also a PR nightmare for Blake Lively. The courtroom isn't just a place for legal arguments. It's a stage, and she's on it trying to perform under pressure. The only problem, she's not doing too well under the spotlight. The more she tries to swing for the fences with her subpoenas, the worse it looks for her. She's not making any headway, and all that's left is a trail of bad press and a whole lot of bad decisions. All right, here we go. The public's perception of Blake Lively has taken a massive nosedive, and it's no surprise why. The more this legal drama drags on, the more the public seems to swing in Bolden's favor.
You scumbags? It's far from a surprise because she already won a protective order that made them have to tell her she would be notified in advance who would be present. So why is this a surprise?
Let's move on to the lies. Oh, the lies. Blake Lively's story is starting to unravel faster than a cheap sweater. She's being caught in a web of contradictions. And at this point, it's impossible to ignore. Every time she opens her mouth, she seems to dig herself deeper. There were moments in her deposition where she was caught saying one thing only to immediately contradict herself. "I didn't say that, and that's not what I meant," became her go-to lines. But guess what? It doesn't look good. It makes her seem like she's trying to cover up her tracks and manipulate the situation.
But here's Blake Lively in court lying, and just like they did to me, saying I'm a criminal and broke the law by recording them, they're again lying to the judge.
And let's not forget the legal repercussions here. If Lively is caught lying under oath, that could be game over for her. The damage would be irreparable. She's already walking a fine line. And the more she lies, the more she risks destroying her credibility. If she's exposed as a liar, it's not just this case that's in jeopardy. Her entire reputation, her career, everything could come crashing down. But hey, maybe that's what she deserves considering the mess she's made of things.
They also said that he says she's a narcissist who cannot accept how she's behaved. I mean, let's be honest, both of these quotes are true.
Speaking of her reputation, let's talk about the fallout. It's safe to say that Blake Lively's reputation is in the gutter right now. What was once a clean, polished public image is now completely tarnished. The public's perception of her as a victim has completely shifted. Instead of seeing her as a person who's been wronged, people are now seeing her as someone who's willing to go to any lengths to win, even if it means throwing everyone else under the bus. That's not a good look, Blake. Not at all. Her legal team's tactics have only made things worse. Instead of gracefully navigating this mess, she's stumbling at every turn, and people are noticing. At this point, it's unclear if Blake can even recover from this. Can she save face? Maybe, but it's going to be one hell of a climb. The damage has already been done, and the road to redemption won't be easy. She'll have to do some serious damage control if she wants to salvage her public image, but honestly, it might be too little, too late. Once the public turns on you, it's hard to win them back. And right now, the public is so not on her side.